Welcome to another live session and welcome to Thursday. I hope it has been a fabulous day. So there are a few things I want to share with you today. The first is, at the end of last year, we had our first Facebook competition where you could enter a room. How the competition worked is people sent pictures of what their spaces looked like to Lee and supported Tjhoko Paint. We've selected a space and we transformed it, and that room makeover is available on our YouTube channel. And there has been a few ladies asking me, where is our YouTube channel sitting? How do you access our YouTube channel? So I quickly want to show that everybody knows. You go to your internet browser, www.youtube.com, enter, then there's a search option. You type in Tjhoko Paint, T-J-H-O-K-O, oh my hat, Tjhoko Paint. And there it is. Click on it. And then you go click on our logo. So there I'm clicking. And then you can subscribe to our channel. I have done that already. It gives you an option to subscribe, like and share. And there is the video of the kitchen makeover winner. So if you click on it, the video will play, the review is there, and it was just an amazing project. Go see how we transformed Rosanne's kitchen, someone I've met through this competition, an amazing person, and just see how beautiful her space was transformed with paint. And I think that's the most exciting part, the fact that paint can give new life and new hope. And even in this time, I must tell you, it's been amazing to receive your messages, to receive your support, to receive the enthusiasm on both our Facebook pages. So Tjhoko has a main Facebook page, Tjhoko Paint, and then we have hashtag Tjhoko Creations. Thank you for the support. Something that I thought about a lot while I was preparing for today's demo is the fact that sometimes we so easily criticize ourselves, and there's no need to be a self-critic. Believe in yourself. With paint and art, there's no rights or wrongs. It's an individual print that you're putting on an item. So have self-confidence if you do something. We don't need to be trend followers. You can be a trendsetter. We so often hear that we live in eclectic times and that anything goes. So if you do something, feel proud about it. Feel proud about the fact that you were the person who created it. And everything that you create is perfect, because you are. Whatever you create is beautiful, and believe in yourself. We are always there to give support, to give advice. So if you need advice on anything, please feel free to ask. My email address is nadine@tjokopaint. Just remember the spelling to be correct. It's on the jars. Maestro is eating something from my table where I need to take you. Maestro. Yeah. So send me any question. If you need advice, send me the email. I will gladly assist. I'm not always available immediately because there's a lot happening, but you will receive an answer. If it's not from me, it will be from Lee, and she communicates with me all the time. Okay, something that we're going to do, that we've decided, and the post will be shared on our Facebook pages after this live streaming, is that we will have 3 room makeovers between the time when lockdown ends up until September. And I decided that purely because of the fact I receive so many rooms, and my fingers actually itch to take a paintbrush, climb through my screen and go and assist to have it done. So we are going to have, like Rosanne's Kitchen, and you need to go like, follow and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please do it. Like Rosanne's Kitchen, we're going to have 3 more lucky people like Rosanne who we'll walk into the space, we'll paint it, we'll move furniture around, and you will have something amazing when we walk out there. Tjhoko, what are you looking at?
They worried to say the sound is not, it sounds echoey. We haven't changed anything on the phone.
Is the sound a problem? Let me quickly put it on plane mode. Okay, let's see if that solves the problem. I have said so many important things. If you couldn't hear, please let me know, and I'll send a separate voice note so that you know about the competition, about being self-confident with whatever you create, and to believe in yourself. I am just an instrument, and I don't know everything. I learn so much from you, and in the time since Tjhoko's existence, I've been a workshop presenter for more than 200 workshops, and I promise you there wasn't one workshop where I left where I haven't learned something. So yeah, believe in yourself, have self-confidence, and believe in the item that you're creating, and be proud. I'm going to share some tips and techniques with you. Remember, there's not only one way of doing a thing. I'm going to share with you what I find to be the easiest way of doing it, and you will maybe find another way of doing it, and share it with us, please. Let's go to the table. It seems as if the sound problem is resolved. Okay, today we are focusing on picture frames, photo frames. And I have made some notes for myself to make sure that I share most of the techniques with you. It's not possible to share everything, but I'm going to try my best to communicate to you as much info as possible in this session. So first, very important step, always, is the color that you are going to select, even before the technique you are going to use. For dramatic effects, we work with darker colors like black, almonds, aubergine, silvers. Is it better the light? Okay. For more placid, calmer effects, you'll work with pastel colors. For a beachy effect, blues, like a Mediterranean effect, blues and greens, Scandinavian look, and blonde wood surfaces, a hit with a combination of whites, greys, and darker colors. Okay, so first of all, you need to decide what the theme of your space is. I have decided to have a selection of everything. Maybe somewhere I just prick the imagination, and you will have the confidence, I hope, to go and attempt it yourself. First technique that we are going to do is simply sanding. Now, sanding a surface is so easy. I have already coated this side of my white frame with a layer of a single coat of almonds aubergine, one of Tjhoko Paint's new colors. All the stockers that are listening will have the launch. To all the stockers next week Thursday, it will be a digital launch. You will receive all the info with all the new colors, fabrics, wallpapers, and the week thereafter we'll make it public. So I'm painting a coat of almonds aubergine on a white surface. That will be your first step. If you have a timber frame coated with something like cloud white or Davet first, or it can be any light color, then you wait for your coat to dry. Okay, I have this side that has been prepped, and then I'm going to use, I just want to mention, I love using Hamilton's brushes, and I have an 80 grit Hamilton sandpaper as well. So it's 80 grit, it's quite rough, and I like, when painting with frames, I hold onto the sleeve so that then my hands don't hurt. And just see how quick, how easy with sanding, and look at how I'm holding my sandpaper. Quick, easy. As this side is damaged, I just tear it off and I continue with my roll. But this is an easy way of holding your sandpaper and just sand. And one coat is enough because we are sanding, so you don't need to apply a second coat. And I'm pressing harder on the detail to emphasize it. So you can decide when to stop sanding, but look, with a coat of paint and a piece of sandpaper, what can be created. And this is very effective if there is detail on your photo frame, raised areas to emphasize that. So the first technique, sanding. Just one coat of paint, allow for that to dry and then sand. The reason for one coat, we're sanding, we don't want to apply a too solid layer of paint. Okay, next technique, and this we'll do in different phases because okay, so this frame was antiqued long ago. We're going to change it now. So first of all, and this is the Vaseline Distress technique. So I'm using, and for those that have attended workshops, you will know this all too well, original petroleum jelly. And I use a non-perfect paintbrush. The less perfect your paintbrush, the greater the success of this technique. So I add a generous amount of Vaseline on my paintbrush. All paintbrushes, don't throw them away. Use them for your Vaseline technique. Next, very important step. I'm going to apply Vaseline on my frame, okay? Not everywhere. Where the Vaseline sits, the paint can't grip because it's oil and our paint, Tjhoko, is water-based. So, first of all, generous amount of Vaseline on your brush. Do not apply Vaseline everywhere, and make sure you apply your Vaseline without overthinking the process. The more rough and imperfect it is, the application of your Vaseline is, the more authentic the technique is. You want to create this look of these old ceiling boards, these old doors that have received years and years and years of paint, and now the paint is peeling off and you can see all the generations paint colors on that surface. So generous amount of Vaseline. I don't think you will see it on the camera, but I just randomly put Vaseline. Generous Vaseline, repeating myself here and there. And then I'm going to first paint some. Let's start with the color, Holiday Coral. Look at this beautiful coral color that we're launching, and Holiday is a person. And I'm painting on top of my Vaseline. Let's just do this side as well, then at least you have something proper to look at. So I apply a single coat. I'm not going to apply it too thick because we need to allow for this coat of paint to dry. Just going to quickly dry brush. I do not put it in sun because then the Vaseline melts away. I'm just going to put it under the table, or next to the table. Let's just hope Maestro doesn't lick it. And then we're going to wait for the paint to dry before we continue with the Vaseline technique. So just remember, the first step is we've applied Vaseline. Then on top of that, we covered it with a coat of paint, allow to dry. If you want to paint a color underneath first, you can do that. Okay, so let's put this away. Our next technique is a blending technique. Now, when we blend colors together, you will see the most important tip I can share with you is that both paint colors need to be wet to enable the colors to blend together. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. So, I'm taking Precious. Our paint colors are named after people. Precious is a beautiful lady in the factory, really precious, just as her name says. This frame previously was painted in cloud white and sanded, and now I'm giving it a new look. So I paint, I paint my Precious halfway. Who said that picture frames and photo frames had to be a single color? And we're going to blend it. Make sure everything is neat. So I just put it closer. I put my paintbrush back in my Precious, and now I'm going to continue with Almonds Aubergine. And I paint. Let me just continue with this, complete this section first. I have enjoyed it so much to prepare for this, because this is really creative, and I have a plan for all these picture frames and photo frames. I don't know if I have the full assistance from my partner yet, but there's a plan. Okay, now very important, please, you need to help me. You need to tell me what you want to see next. The idea for next week is to wash an outside wall. You must let me know if you want to see me doing that. The idea and the plan is to put these on that wall. So let me know if you want to see how I do it, or if I can do it and then just show you the reveal. Let me know, please. Okay, so I have painted half of my frame in Precious, the other half in Almonds Aubergine, and now I'm going to blend. So here where the colors meet each other, both paints need to be wet. So I just add more paint on this section, and now I'm adding more Precious there. And the easiest way is to have a separate brush for your blending, seeing that there are very unevenness on this frame. And a clean cloth. I'm going to use my apron because it's dry, and I blend the colors together. So I wipe away, wipe away. And then don't underestimate the value of your hands. Especially the fact that we're working on an uneven surface. Clean my fingers. And I'm blending it in. I just want to continue here to make it even. I use my brush, blend it in. Use my fingers and just see how evenly and beautiful this becomes. So in the same breath, I'm doing a blending technique, but I'm also creating an ombre surface. So if you move back the camera, Kaylee, you will see that we have dark to light. And that is a beautiful ombre blending effect. If you wanted to use two completely different colors, you can do that as well. So on a flat surface, you blend from left to right. It's easier than working on an uneven surface. Just make sure that your two paint colors are both wet. Spread your brush evenly, and like Ronald said and showed in a video, don't do blending in a breeze. Do it in a room where the paint has more time to dry, and you can play. And like I have done, you can go back and you can change something. Can you see how beautiful that is? And we have a two-toned picture frame. Now on this side, I have one that has been completed, and I'm going to show you later. We're first going to do the various paint techniques separate, discuss them so that it makes sense. Let me know if something does not make sense. And then I'm going to show you how you can combine various paint techniques on one single surface. So that one is going to dry. My next one is, I want to show you, this is a timber frame. And just see what I have planned for this one. So here I have a wood surface, and I'm going to first paint it with Frick's Forest. This is one of the new greens. As you can see with the colors we're using, it's darker colors for a more dramatic effect. And if you want to create a pastel, placid effect, just use pastel colors. Goodness gracious, our two greens that are beautiful. Okay, I want to show you something. Can you see that I forgot to clean it with lacquer thinners and that these air bubbles appear? When that happens, you know you haven't cleaned, or you haven't cleaned properly. I'm working on a picture frame, so I'm not going to be worried about this. As I'm going to do a stencil technique, if I want to later, I can sand. But if this happens when you're painting, you know what the reason is for it. So I'm just giving strokes here. I don't want to completely cover that embellished section, and I'm going to leave this frame to dry. Okay, so this is a stencil effect that we're going to do on here, but we first need to allow the paint to dry before I continue with this. The next technique we'll be doing is a wet distressed technique. So if we do wet distressing, and this is absolutely one of my favorites because you feel like an artist when you do this. So for this technique, we'll be needing some artist brushes. Make sure they are nice and soft artist brushes. I'm just going to wash this one a bit more. And then dry it properly. So what I have done on this frame already, I started with my wet distressing. So this was a picture frame, photo frame that I first painted with Don's wash, and then I've sanded a bit, and then I started with my wet distressing. Now let me show you. We have done it on that furniture piece earlier this week as well. Yeah, now it's nice and soft. Okay. So the colors I worked with here is Nao's New, which is a new color. Jane's Jade would actually work nicer because it's a more of a vibrant color. I just don't have any. So I'm going to work with Nao's New, and I'm going to work with Nade. And this color is named after me. And now, before I continue, I want to share some exciting news with you. Lonkies, and I appreciate this. So I received a message this morning from a friend, and she said, Nadine, why don't you name those supporters on your Facebook page? Name colors after some of them. Because those ladies are so supportive and so amazing, and I cannot agree more. So this is what we're going to do. You are going to let me know via email, that's easiest, which colors in the Tjhoko range you are missing. Your name, something about yourself, and I'm going to be in contact with you as soon as I'm back in the office. We're going to set up a meeting. I'm going to, if it's possible, and we can meet personally, we're going to arrange that. If it needs to be a Zoom meeting, we'll make a plan, and we are going to name some of you amazing people, Tjhoko colors after you. So will you please nadine@tjokopaint.co.za. Share me your favorite colors that you're missing on the Tjhoko range, your story, and let's name colors after you. So the next color, or the first color in the wet distressing I'm using is Nao's New. Remember, as we've said earlier during the lockdown process, when doing paint techniques, a damp cloth is your greatest friend. Okay, so I have a damp cloth. Someone asked me, what cloths am I using? I'm just going to show again. It's original Matten cloth. It says eco-friendly, locally produced, using recycled yarns. So this is what I use. Let's start on that section. So I have my colors. It's Nao's New. There it is. And Nade. Let's just remove this huge brush from this jar. Now what I'm doing is I work small sections at a time. This requires some patience, especially if your picture frame has this much detail. So the other tip, there needs to be detail on your picture frame. Paint small sections, damp cloth, wipe away. And you wipe until you can see the shaded effect. And I just want to make sure that part that you most probably are seeing are also done. And I paint. And wipe away. And it's a very light movement, else you're just going to wipe away everything. And paint. Wipe away. So I'm running out of spaces to paint, but I've decided yesterday that the doors of my house, the Meranti doors of my house, have not been painted yet. I cannot tell you how excited Tjhoko feels about my Meranti doors being painted. But I've started with one. It's a creative idea that I will share with you next week. If you are tired of your plain, boring doors in your house, how to zhuzh it up with some creativity. And this morning, as I was busy preparing in our room for the melamine surface, Tjhoko said, I wasn't thinking that you were planning on painting in the room today. And I said, yeah, but you know, there are so many people, Tjhoko, that wants to see how to paint on melamine surfaces. And Karen actually phoned me last night to remind me that I've said I'll do it. And this is the only melamine doors in our house left that can be painted, the ones in the main bedroom. Tjhoko did not say a word, he just left. So we'll make sure that it's beautiful. When Tjhoko sees the room again, he won't believe what my ideas were. Okay, does this process make sense? I just wish I could hear voices. I think that's one of the greatest things I'm missing at this point when doing demos. So once this is done, I can now start with my second color on the areas where I started initially, just to allow the paint to dry a bit. So I'm going to start with but how beautiful is this? With Nade on top of my Nails New, and wipe. Kaylee, can you see on the screen what's happening? Sometimes colors on a camera screen is difficult to see. And on my Nails New, I'm adding some Nade. And even a dry artist brush, just to reach in those areas. See what I'm doing? I'm removing excess paint. It doesn't need to be on your skin. You can use newspaper. And with a very dry artist brush, I'm just now going to brush on certain areas. Instead of having to wipe away. Let's do the same here. Leaky, I know you're watching. These colors are absolutely inspired by the painting you've given for my birthday. So I'm going to use these frames in my bedroom afterwards. Then, just to add some excitement, I'm going to add some Simon Says. Now, Simon is named after the guy that's my right hand when it comes to painting. And I wish he just knew how much I've been missing him the past few weeks. And I just touch once again my finger just to blend it in. I'm usually the one when we paint that makes the most mess. And I would say, oh, Suzuki, we call him Suzuki, not Simon. He's such a fast worker. He has a nickname, Suzuki, that my father-in-law gave him. Oh, Suzuki, this wasn't me. I'm sure it was you. And he will just laugh and clean up the mess or help clean it up. Okay, so just for some excitement, I'm adding Simon. You can use any colors. This just needs to be an inspiration on how to do the techniques. And there is a wet distressing technique. So it's wet paint that you blend away until you are happy with the outcome. Now, as a final, what I did on the section above is I just used some Davet. So very dry brush, very light movements, and I'm just brushing over the tips. Just to emphasize, piece of sandpaper could do the same work, but this just gives you more control, that you don't sand areas where you've washed nicely. And there you go. I can just blend it in with my finger, and it's done. I'll show you the final. I'm going to spend time to finish it, but there you can see the effect. Okay, next frame. And this is now where we are going to do dry brushing. Let me first see if my Vaseline frame is ready. I'm just going to give it a quick blow. Just bear with me. Don't recommend to blow dry or add heat to a Vaseline technique, but mine was almost dry, and I just want to help the process. Now I'm using a paint scraper, and what I do is I just scrape, remove some of the paint where the Vaseline was applied on my frame. There you can see I've applied quite a thick amount of Vaseline. Now I'm going to repeat the entire process. I'm going to just clean this as well. I'm going to add some Vaseline again. Generous amount of Vaseline, not Vaseline everywhere, else you'll just remove all the paint. So I'll put a piece there. There is still so much. I'm just going to add a little bit there and over here. And I'm going to do my second color. Let's do Frick. So if you've seen the post that Fricky has posted on our Tjhoko Paint Facebook page, you would have noticed that he's a very funny oak. He's also the guy at the office that receives all the orders. So if you have any issues, don't even worry. Fricky is so helpful. He will assist with your orders. He can't wait to go back to work. And you see what's happening here. It's all the Vaseline that's sitting on my frame. And that's perfect. I think Fricky's wife, Marty, can also not wait for Frick to return back to work. Okay, and I'm going to let this dry. You can see there's a lot of Vaseline on the surface. Let's see what happens. The fun thing is you can always fix and change. Okay, let's let it dry. Next, I'm going to show you how to dry brush. Okay, so dry brush is a technique where you use very little paint on a very dry brush. Just neaten my area. Just want to dip this in water. I'm going to use them later again so they get soft and clean. Okay, so dry brush, very little paint on a very dry brush. So I'm going to use a Hamilton's Enzyme brush. As you can see, it has very fine bristles. It's been used quite a lot. You can't even see the name anywhere anymore, but it's Hamilton's and it's Enzyme. And I remove any excess paint. I like to work on my hands. Let me not teach you wrong. Okay, now what you do, so this creates the effect. Very little paint on a very dry brush, and the paint is evenly distributed on my brush. So there are no blobs of paint sitting on the tip of my brush. And this resembles a sanded effect on your painted surface. So instead of sanding, you can simply just dry brush. You can change direction. And look, when I dry brush over an embellishment, what happens? So it gives the idea that you've sanded this, that you've worked very hard, where you actually use so little paint and you create a very authentic sanded look and feel on your surface. Oh, and if you start, you actually don't want to stop. So there I've added paint. It's way too much. I need to remove almost all of that. A very dry brush. I always test on my hand. If my brush leaves lines like this and there are no blotches of paint, I know it's perfect for a dry brush technique. If my brush did this, it's too wet. So then you need to remove more paint. Let me taste it again. There, it's perfect. Very light movement on my painted surface. With paint techniques, it's very important to work with contrast, dark and light, or different colors in different tones, lighter tones combined with darker tones. So you won't do a dry brush technique, if I can explain to you, with these two colors. They are both too dark and you won't see the real effect. Rather do with a dark color and a lighter color. And here I have something very authentic with a very dry brush. It's like when we do stenciling, the drier your brush, the greater the success. And the enzyme brush works so beautifully. Oh, if you start, you don't want to stop. Can you see it? I just want to continue. You can be glad I had to clean house, cook meals, do work in between, else we would have been painting the entire time. Okay, how beautiful is this? And how easy with so little paint. Dry brush technique. Little paint, evenly distributed on your brush. Next technique. Oh, we had questions about silver. Now let me show you all the ins and outs. I have a frame. Now this was a plastic frame that I purchased from either Sheet Street or Mr. Price. I'm going to show you what the idea is with this one. I don't want to forget about this one, Kaylee. Just put it there so that I can use it again later. And Frikkie is drying. Okay. What I have done so far on this plastic frame. Tips when painting on plastic. Now we see Kylie's reflection in the mirror. Oh, Kylie, many worry. So first of all, when painting onto plastic, let's put it flat, Kylie. Is that better? When painting onto plastic, it's very important to first sand your plastic to create a rough surface. I use 100 grit sandpaper and I sand it, especially on the smooth surfaces, that the paint can do its grip work. After you've sanded, you clean well with lacquer thinners. That's one of the most important steps if you want the paint to grip. When you're painting on frames, I'm not so fast because it's a creative item. Then you clean with lacquer thinners. Allow your thinners to dry for 20 to 40 minutes, depending on the weather, and only then do you start to paint. So what I've done is I've painted a section matte black to show you my sheriff stone is finished. So usually I use sheriff stone, but you can use matte black as well. I'll show you. And then I've painted this section with Martin's Move, one of our new neutral additions. And I've created the ombre blending effect that we've showed earlier on how to do with the Armand's picture frame. Can you remember that one? To paint colors wet and you blend. Okay, now with the silver, the possibilities are endless. And I'm going to show you a few things to unleash the creativity. So with the silver, it's very important. I'm going to use the back of one of my brushes to stir it well and to paint a dark base coat in a Tjhoko color first. I use matte black or sheriff stone. And then it comes with a stirring stick. Mine has just disappeared. I'm sure Maestro is chilling on it outside. I have to stir it well. So the metallics are also water-based, which is great because you can paint on top of them again. It's non-toxic. Don't drink it though, although sometimes when you open a jar of Tjhoko, you do want to drink it. That's how beautiful it is, but don't. Then what I like to do, I don't have the gold and the rose gold here, but what I like to do is I mix some of the silver in both my golds and rose gold to just stir it down a bit because they are quite bright, and then I use them. So don't add normal Tjhoko colors to your metallic. If you want to change color, use the metallic colors with metallics. So if you want a softer rose gold look and feel, add some silver to your Anne's rose gold. If you want a softer gold, add some silver to your Alice gold. As I'm saying the paint colors, and I'm sure everyone from work that's also listening in, I miss you. I miss the faces. Now what you can do is you can paint a solid coat of silver. And I'm going to do that so that I can show you afterwards how I use the antique glaze with this. So I paint my silver on my black. Just going to blend it in here that my frame still looks nice. And I'm going to stop here with a solid coat of silver. We'll do the antique glaze mixing and I'll show you exactly how to apply the antique glaze on top. And this is exactly what I've done with my picture. Someone asked where the dog is. On top of the piano, when I revealed my house, there's a picture hanging of our children with one of our labbies. And that picture frame initially was a brass color, and we've changed it to silver. And this is exactly what I have done. I just, at the end you will see, I add some antique glaze. I just brushed with a light coat of Alice Gold on top, which I don't have. Okay, the other option, okay, this is not done, this is step 2 with a silver, is to simply dry brush. Look at this effect. Now dry brush, little paint evenly on your brush, and I'm just going to add a lick of silver on my already painted surface. So if you want to transform picture frames from gold to silver, you can even do this, even on your gold. And then what I like to do is the finger and just blend it in. And there we have a dry brush. Quickly see on the aubergine color how stunning this will be. Here it is. If I did a dry brush on my aubergine in silver and white, I want to show you how we're going to transform this. So on my aubergine, I'm brushing with silver. So it just creates a fun element. It's not too flashy. And I just want to add some dovet. You see where that brush is? So depending on your preferences, what you like. So here I'm combining more than one paint technique on the same surface. And I'm dry brushing with more than one color to create the perfect look that I like. And now what I'm also going to do on this frame while we're waiting for the silver to dry on the other one is we are going to sand a bit to reveal some of the white at the bottom. So my 80 grit is just faster, especially for demos. Reveal some white, reveal some wood. Okay, I'm going to put it down. The silver is there, but it's only a touch. I'm revealing some wood. And I just need to dust it so that you can see what it looks like. Just some more here. And I am loving it. This is quite a workout. So if you feel guilty of all the things you've eaten the past few weeks, paint something, sand it, and get rid of the guilt. And there's something very stunning. Okay, so more than one technique on a surface. Someone asked earlier how this was done, the Vaseline technique and sanding. The Vaseline is waiting there to be scraped off. Okay, so this is dry brushing. Let's do some antique glazing on these sections. This is still drying, I'll show you, but let's start there. And then I'm going to show today how to mix the antique glaze again. So I'm just mixing the glaze. Sorry, Kaylee, let's move this away so you can see better. Something that I do, this is my glad wrap bag, Dale, and if you're watching, this is inspired by you from painting all the homemaker stands. So I use the antique glaze often, and I don't every time want to wash my brush. So I put it in a glad wrap bag. It stays wet, then you don't need to wash your brush every time, and I use it often. I don't like to promote plastic at all, but I'm reusing this plastic, and I'm not throwing it away. So that's a tip to keep your brushes wet for the next day and the week after if you want to paint again. So I'm going to mix my antique glaze in this jar. The recipe says on the lid of the antique glaze, add 30% water. I'm going to do that. But I am seeing that I'm working with a very dark frame. I'm going to add 30% matte black to complement the darkness. So just a little bit. You don't want to waste. Water contaminates, and that's why we don't recommend to add water to Tjhoko paint. Your paint will go off. It will contaminate the paint and it will have a strange smell if you've worked with a wet brush or water in your paint. So Tjhoko, you don't need to add water. So I'm just adding some matte black paint in here. Also more or less 30%. But what I like to do is I check the shade when I start glazing to make sure that it's not too dark, not too light. And here's my glaze brush. I mix all of this together. So the glaze needs to be mixed with water as it is a concentrated sealant. It's a pure acrylic sealant, both the clear glaze and the antique glaze. And we can't add water at the factory, as mentioned earlier. Water contaminates, so I mix little glaze as I need it. Make sure I use it up within a week or 2 or 3. Depends on the quality of the water, how long it will take to contaminate. Oh, it's going to look beautiful. But I will still test and make changes. Maybe add more matte black if needed. And this is something that we have shown previously. But you paint your antique glaze on. And this can be done on any color. I just selected neutrals as we've been working with a lot of color. Not everybody likes color, so you'll do whatever makes you happy. And trust your gut. Everybody doesn't need to be the same. I fold my cloth like a ball, and I just allow for the glaze to just sit. Can you see I've painted actually a small section, not the entire frame, because the glaze needs time to work. You need time to wipe, and if you're going to paint the entire frame, by the time you reach the bottom, the top will be so dry that you can't make any changes. Then you'll just repaint it. And very lightly, I start to wipe away. I can't see that edge clearly. And I'll move my cloth to a cleaner section, and I do want to show you how stunning color will look on this section. You can add white like I've done with the Simon Says on the glass with a previous demo. So this is also an idea for picture frames. Two-tone, dry brush, wet distressing Vaseline, which we'll get to now. And I just wipe until I feel happy. And I'll leave it a second and just make it nice in there. Dig in with my finger, remove any excess. Okay. And now I'll take something like, we had questions before, what colors you want us to add, and there was a few for a cerise pink, and here it is, it's pretty pink. Stockist, we are launching all these fabulous colors next week. You need to tune in for that launch. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm spreading, this is now a washed technique. I'm spreading some of the pink, believe it or not, on a cloth. If you want to wash with white over here, you just go ahead. Whatever makes you happy is good. And I'm just waiting for that to set for a second, and let's see what it looks like. So it's a very subtle effect as I'm washing, it's on a cloth, so it's not a solid coat of paint. And let's just get some darkness out there so that we can see more pink. Just bear with me. This is going to be something completely different. Ah, and I have received, Southern Cape, I'm saying hello. I've received the most adorable pictures of children in Oudtshoorn using Tjhoko Paint, painting picture frames, doing potato stamps. You are amazing. I truly appreciated receiving those pictures. Okay, so I'm just adding more pink. So depending on your room, your space, how you're going to style it, this is a nice, bright and vibrant color. Look now, if I just use my dirty cloth and just wipe over the other sections without the antique glaze. I just want to remove that dark, make it more subtle. I just want to change it so that I like it. And there is a pretty pink, pretty as a person. It's actually Suzuki's wife. And there you go. So something different again, if you just want to emphasize the detail, if you want to do antique look, this is the way of going ahead, and you can use different colors.
Nadine, we have a question.
Yeah.
What are the shells colors behind you?
These were painted in sheriff stone. So, Kaylee, just show them the bar counter. Yeah, they're all made. So that is what it looked like. It's a melamine surface, but it's very glossy. And then cleaned it with lacquer thinners and we painted it in the color sheriff stone. Thanks, Kaylee. Okay, and I'm wiping. So depending on what you like, this is what can be accomplished. If I want to change the silver to a more of a pewter effect, I'll use the antique glaze. Just remember, the antique glaze, all the glazes, the paint actually needs to cure for 4 hours before we apply them. Seeing the fact that they're pure acrylic, they are very strong and they will remove your paint if you don't wait long enough. So to create a pewter effect on the detail, I'll apply my antique glaze. And I'm going to show you if I wash over it again. All these frames I'm going to finish. And I'll post, as always, I'll post a picture. And you let me know if you want to see me wash an outside wall, or if you are feeling comfortable with washing, because we have done it before. And then I can do it over the weekend and just style everything. So I'm painting antique glaze, gently wiping to create more of a pewter effect. So it's not as shiny as the silver on its own. And then I'll use my silver and just, if I want to, dry brush on top. And as I said, with a frame in my dining room or my TV room, we have added some gold. Let me just find a brush with a silver, and I simply just brush. And this resembles a pewter effect on a plastic frame. And I just want to mention that this was a white plastic frame from either Sheet Street or Mr. Price, and they both sold them, and we bought a few. It's like you're watching for Nampu. We've painted so many frames at Nampu. Okay. And that's a pewter effect on a plastic frame. So whatever makes you happy, you just do it. I'm going to complete this on my own time and show you what I like. Stenciling is the next technique. I just want to see if our frame is dry, our Vaseline frame. So just to repeat the process, Vaseline paint, wait to dry, Vaseline paint, wait to dry, and every time before you apply your next coat of Vaseline, you remove what was done before. So can you see, this is now vintage, it's old, it was sanded. Grandma had this frame, then Mom.
Nadine, we have another question.
Okay.
The question is, can Tjhoko paints be exposed to rain?
Okay, very good question. So Tjhoko paint, before I answer that, this is the Vaseline process to create authentic old frames that looks as if it was sanded over years. I hope the process makes sense. You can add as much colors as you like and colors that suit your space. To answer that question, Tjhoko paint has a built-in sealant, but we do recommend when painting kitchens, something like a tabletop, bathrooms, like your wall tiles in your bathroom, not inside a shower, but tiles in a bathroom, maybe a vanity in a bathroom, or outside. I've painted my flower pots down his stair this lockdown. We have clear glaze, and this is what it looks like. The clear glaze is like the antique brown glaze that we've used now, a pure acrylic sealant. So it's 100% acrylic and acrylic component. To give you an idea, roof paints have an acrylic component of 55%, and this is a pure acrylic, so it's nearly 100%. What we recommend to dilute it with 30% water, else it dries so quickly when you start working with it. Wear a glove. I recommend to clients wearing gloves, although I don't. It's water-based, you can wash it off your hands if you wash it immediately, and you apply it with a damp cloth. If you paint something like my flower pots, I've applied 3 coats of the clear glaze, half an hour apart. And then I know it is sealed perfectly to be exposed to rain and sun. Wood expands, and wood does damage with rain and heat. So you need to keep a watch on your wooden items. If you see that they take some strain, even if you varnish them, you have to varnish them every 6 months to a year. And the same when painting onto wood. You need to check it all the time, see that the quality is good. If there are damages because of expanding and shrinking, you need to sand lightly, fix it, glaze it again. But cement, I'll show you my dry area next week. Okay, let's do that. And then I'll show you the cement seats that I've created with concrete and petrol drums. That's an idea. Okay, let's do it next week. So this is the Vaseline. Now the stenciling, there's Frick's Forest, and here's some stencils or a stencil design. And we always recommend to secure your stencil with masking tape. I'm not going to do it. Stencil brush. So this is what a stencil brush looks like, and I'm going to use the color. Let's first go with Martin's Move. No, let's go with David. Okay, now the same as with dry brushing, you need to remove excess. I'm just going to do this one section that I don't take up too much time. I've removed the excess. The same, I'm doing the same test as with dry brush. Move it in circular movements. Hold it down with my free hand that my stencil don't move. You can put masking tape, but not on a newly painted surface. The masking tape will remove the paint. I'm going to do melamine afterwards, and then next week I have a lick of glaze left. I'll show my neighbor actually wanted some glaze this morning. I said, oh my head, no, I can't give you any. So I will be showing you how to do the glazing process. I think we'll do something outdoors next week. But you let me know about the wash of the wall. Okay, and I remove my stencil. There's my stenciling done, and now I'm going to create a shadow effect. So for a shadow effect, let me just see where I've put it there. I'm going to use a different color. And let's be adventurous. Let's use some what? Let's go with British pink. Let's be adventurous. Life is colorful. Okay, so to create a shadow, we have done it before, but I don't mind sharing the tips again. Stencil of Paris, also stunning to use on frames, ladies and gents. And then you can do the techniques as we've explained previously with previous videos. So what I do to create a shadow effect, my stencil needs to make the next two movements. It needs to move either up or down and either left or right, but with 1/4 centimeter. So it is, I'm going to move up and I'm going to move my right. And now I secure it with my free hand. I'm going to use Pretty Pink. Let me take a clean stencil brush so it's not too light. Remove the excess paint. Wait for your first stencil design to dry first. I haven't, because I don't want to run out of time. Oh, and you can also play with color when you stencil. You can maybe add some aubergine. Where's my almond? Kelly, am I taking too long? Okay, sorry, Kelly. Okay, I'm just giving some color inspiration. Kaylee says I'm taking too long. Okay, let me remove it. And now I'll wait for it to dry and I'll lightly sand so that some of the wood will be revealed and you can see the different colors. This was a very colorful class. Okay, we've done all the frame inspiration. Remember, you use the colors that you want, but the techniques will remain the same. Let me quickly go show you how extremely difficult it is to paint on melamine. Let's run down my passage. Okay, so for my 40th birthday, which was this year, 2020, I received that beautiful painting from Lee, and it's done in Nade, a color named after me, and we are going to paint my room's melamine cupboards. Okay, so I was lying, it's so easy to paint on melamine. Let me show you. The first very important step is to clean well with lacquer thinners, and I use Power Fix's lacquer thinners. For all of you that have been tuned in since the very start of lockdown, thank you for the support and sorry for the repetition of all the detail. I shake my jar. It's actually the third step on the instructions. I've seen these questions, ladies. There are instructions. You need to read them. Okay. And then I pour out some Tjhoko Paint in the color Davet, purely because, yeah, it will give Yaku the least of a heart attack. Can you imagine if I painted this aubergine, Almond's aubergine, or Nade? I would sure not have a husband left after lockdown. Hamilton's, I'm using a Hamilton's utility brush, 75 millimeters to do my cut lines. And this is what a cut line is. And my surface has been cleaned with lacquer thinners. I allow the lacquer thinners to dry for at least 40 minutes. And I'm doing cut lines. Now this is like coloring in a picture. We first do the outlines and then we do the inside. So you first do the outlines. The same with your kitchen cupboard doors. I do it differently. We take them off and you roll them either with a foam or with a mohair roller. Sorry, I don't have the sleeve of this one, but this is a mohair roller, and I've secured my surface to prevent any spills with, how stunning is this, Super Soaker from Hamilton's. It's like a mat, and no paint or thinners or anything can go through it. So that's what I've used. Thank you, Angeline, for all the goodies. Okay, so I first do my cut lines. Nicely evenly, this is your base coat. And I'm not going to do the entire surface, so don't worry. I'm just going to do a section. Give Tjhoko a heart attack when you see the whole painted melamine piece in our room, and then I'll paint the rest. So I paint it nicely, evenly. Then as a rule, you wait for the cut lines to dry. Back to the kitchen, what we usually do, we take the doors off. Then you use a foam roller or a mohair roller, depending on the size of your surface. You've seen me now working with a foam roller quite a lot. And if it's larger, flat surfaces, mohair roller works best. And let me show you. So you wet your mohair roller first. You have to rinse it to get rid of all the loose fluff on the inside. Then you need to dry it very well, else it will make water lines on your surface. And then you wet it well with paint. The correct way of doing it is to wait for your cut lines to dry first before you paint the inside sections. And now I roll. And you will see, once it's dry, it leaves a very smooth, even finish. So if we paint tabletops, I would recommend to use a mohair roller. It's much easier than a foam roller because of the size. And the size is a 225 millimeters Hamilton's mohair roller. And this is how difficult it is to paint onto melamine. We are going to wait for the melamine to dry overnight, and then I'm going to apply the clear glaze with a damp cloth, diluted with 30% water. And if there's a need to see how the application is done, you let me know. I'll show it next week, just a section to show how it's done. Thank you for tuning in. This is a mouthful. Use colors you like. Play around with the techniques. Find ways that you like to do the applications. Stay motivated, stay creative, and I'll see you next week Tuesday at 3 o'clock, and please let me know what you want to see.